He's really hard on himself. When things doesn't really work out, and that's going to be a coaching pitch for Trey, that control the controllables. And if we can get those things going for Trey, um, you'll see his production dramatically change from last year to this year. So I'm excited for that.
As a coach, you mentioned him being hard on himself. How is that? I'm sure there's a line to that. I think you want him to be accountable, you want him to strive for greatness,
Yeah.
but also for it not to be an anchor. So how do you kind of walk that tightrope?
I think it's again, it's just keeping his mind on an even keel. Breathing and going through exercises and scenarios, because some of the dedicated guys, they're like that. They're their most worst critical people, and I was one of those guys. And sometimes you harp on things so much that you weren't ready for the next play or the next opportunity. So what I had to work through and to help with some other veterans was, you know, you gotta let that roll off your shoulder, and you gotta keep playing and keep practicing. With Trey, it's no different. I think the positive thing about Trey now, I think as a seasoned veteran, he's seen a lot of things, but he's also now focusing on not 100 things, but two or three things that he can help himself with, and I think that's helped his progress in spring ball. Just to see him extend and doing all those things where in the past he's probably going to bury his head in there. But, so I'm excited for that. But again, it's just keeping him mindful that you know not everything is the end of the world type of situation. Um, but you love that he has that joy, that passion to feel that way. Because if you're not moved and you play next to Trey the way he is, then you're never gonna get it. But it's just an honor to be in his presence, and to be able to have this run with him this year, this season.
Yeah. As an associate head coach, how do you help to set the tone for the team overall identity and daily culture?
I think it starts with commitment to the goals and the vision that is set forth for our team, for our program. It starts there, yeah. And that commitment is not just a word of mouth. You have to show up every day. You have to be at study hall early. You have to produce. You have to go to class. All the necessary things that are asked of our student athletes. It starts there. But I think once you get in the building, um, whether you're a senior, a sophomore, a junior, it really doesn't matter. It becomes one of those deal where um, if you educate the guys on what we expect of them, and then help them develop that expectation, into reality. Because culture's not a coach telling a player. Culture changes when it's a player to a player. But all of the coaches and the support staff have to hold ourselves to that same value and standard. And I think those are the things I'm excited about.
About expectation, what do you expect from the defensive lineman in terms of physicality, discipline, and leadership?
The great the teams that went farther in this game and have success, they started at the line of scrimmage. And so you have to teach, you have to demand physicality, you have to demand playing with proper technique, and you have to coach it. You have to coach those things, and you can't expect all these young men to get it the first time. You have to teach, you have to teach, you have to teach. There are going to be days where they're not getting it right, and you have to go back to fundamentals. You don't try to the pivot and get away from it. You got to keep their feet on the fire, and then through repetition, because you got to rep it over and over. You rep it not to get it right, but you rep it so you never get it wrong. And then these young men, they're hungry for the opportunity, and we're excited. And that's the biggest thing. It starts up front, and I think there's a lot of challenges being made. But I know our guys have their expectations too, and they want to do right and do better.
Perfect. Thank you,
Yeah.
coach.